Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to that act as advisors to this board. To my left is Valerie Manzo, counsel to the board. To her left is Kelly Brown, representing the planning department. To her left is John Bongino, town building director. Now let me tell you why you're here tonight. New York State statute requires that any town that adopts zoning must also have a board of appeals to act as a relief valve so that those persons aggrieved by strict application of the zoning ordinance can seek relief without the expense of going to court. Town board can give Board of Appeals additional powers such as special exception approvals, site plan approvals. In Smithtown, the town board has given this board authority regarding certificate of existing use and some special exception uses. The most common kind of application before the board are area variances. Area variants deal with dimensions such as lot area, frontage, height, setbacks, and parking spaces. New York State statute mandates that the board must consider the following 5 criteria in area variances. When you come to the podium to present your application, you need to address these 5 areas. They're posted here for you. Number 1, whether an undesirable change will be produced in the character of the neighborhood or a detriment to nearby properties will be created. Number 2, whether the applicant has other feasible alternatives. Number 3, whether the variance is substantial. Number 4, whether an adverse impact on the environment will be created. And number 5, whether the alleged difficulty is self-created. The statute requires the board to balance the interest of the applicant and those of the neighborhood or the community. This statute further requires that the board shall grant the minimum variance it shall deem necessary and adequate, and at the same time preserve and protect the character of the neighborhood and the health, safety, and welfare of the community. The board has the power to impose reasonable conditions for granting variances. Use variance is so rare that we won't describe the criteria unless an actual application is before us. Special exception applications are different than area variances. When we have a special exception application before us, I will explain the difference. Regarding procedure, cases will be called in order they are advertised. When your case is called, please come forward, submit your affidavits and mailing receipts to Ms. Brown. Then you will be sworn in at the podium and given the opportunity to explain to the board why you need the variance. If the applicant is done speaking, all interested parties will be given one opportunity and only one opportunity to be heard. So please organize your thoughts, keep your remarks factual that are related to the case. Then I will ask the applicant to come back to the podium to answer your concerns. The board will then close the case and reserve decision. After all the hearings are closed, the board will review cases and decide some of them. Others will be reviewed at a later date. There are 3 ways you can find out the results of the case. Number 1, you can wait until after the public hearing, but there's no guarantee that the board will act on your case tonight. Number 2, you can call the planning department tomorrow afternoon. Number 3, applicants can wait and be notified by mail. Okay. The first case tonight is case 16496, Christopher Conway. Okay. 39 Rhoda Avenue, Smithtown. Location, north side of Rhoda Avenue, west of William Street, Smithtown, property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the rear yard setback from 35 feet to 25 feet for an existing 120 square foot deck. Thank you. I don't think so. This lower deck is not counted because it's low, too low, okay? Good evening. May I have your name, please?
My name is Lou Schwartz. I'm with Tide Runner Engineering, and I'm representing...
I need the applicant first.
Name is Christopher Conway.
And your address, Christopher?
39 Rhoda Avenue, Smithtown, New York, 11787.
Raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
You want this gentleman to speak for you?
I do.
Thank you. Okay. Now, may I have your name, and would you spell your last name for me?
It's Louis Schwartz, S-C-H-W-A-R-T-Z, and my address is 7 Ridgewood Street, Bayshore, New York, I'm the principal of Tide Runner Engineering and Design.
Okay, raise your right hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Would you tell us why you're here tonight?
I was hired to prepare plans at Mr. Conway's residence because after he purchased the house, it was found that there were a number of projects that had been done without permits, and we needed to legalize the construction. And one of these was the addition of a covered rear porch of about 120 square feet that extended into the rear yard setback. And these were all built prior to Mr. Conway purchasing the home.
Okay. Planning?
No comments.
Gentlemen? Okay. Thank you so much. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
It's readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Sorry. She's gonna say. And you have to speak louder. Next case is case 16497, Doreen and Richard Palladino, 25 Carolyn Avenue, Smithtown. Location, north side of Carolyn Avenue, west of George Street, Smithtown. Property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the front yard setback from 25 feet, 19 feet existing, to 22 feet. To permit environmentally sensitive land, depth to groundwater less than 10 feet to be altered for a proposed 512 square foot first floor addition. Increase the FAR from 25% to 100%. 100% existing due to environmentally sensitive land. 22% if the land was not environmentally sensitive. And your name is the applicant first.
Doreen Palladino.
Okay.
Richard Palladino.
May I have your address, please?
Sure. 25 Caroline Avenue, Smithtown, New York.
Okay. Are you both going to speak?
Nope.
Okay. Let me just have you sworn in, and
Okay.
then, do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
All right. And would you like this lady to speak for you?
Yes, I will.
Okay.
Christine Bryson, architect,
Wait a minute. Spell your last name, Christine.
Bryson,
And your address?
3652 Centerview Avenue, Wantor, 11793.
Where?
Wantor.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. Want to tell us why you're here, please?
Sure. We're proposing a 500 square foot addition to the house. It's a modest 1,000 square foot house. With 2 small bedrooms, 9 by 10 bedroom and a 9 by 14 bedroom. We're just trying to get enough space for the family. They have 1 child. The property is not conforming to the codes, obviously. We have a front yard issue and a backyard issue. We really can't go anywhere else with the addition. If we push it forward, it's going to be further into the front. Push it back, it's further into the back. So, you know, the existing property, it's really sort of tough to meet the codes. There wasn't really any other place we could put it. The existing house has been there for 55 years. The existing house does not meet the front and back codes. We're proposing an addition that's, you know, even less encroaching than the existing house. The recent issue with environmental factors, I believe, you know, we're getting a soil boring test to test for groundwater, you know, depending on how everything happens tonight.
You're not going to get a decision from us
Okay,
until you have a test hole done.
okay.
So you need to get that done.
We actually only heard about this, I think, last week. So I know it's been in a few months. We only heard about that. So we've contacted Geoscience Company.
Okay. And then once you have that test hole done and you submit that to the environmental department, and they will make a recommendation, and after that recommendation comes in, then this board will make a decision.
Okay,
Okay?
okay.
All right, thank you. Planning?
Just to make sure the test hole is done. That's a requirement that needs to be
We
fulfilled.
actually just received a letter on September 2nd.
Okay.
So we didn't want it to interfere. We've been waiting for this hearing for 90 days, so.
Not a problem.
Okay. Gentlemen? Okay. Okay, thank you so much.
Thanks.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Really moves the second. All in favor? Aye. Motion carried. Case 16498, Kevin Heschlin, 7 LaSalle Lane, Kings Park. Location, north side of LaSalle Lane, west of Indian Head Road, Kings Park. Property zone RM7. Request variance to reduce this distance from any lot from 4 feet to 1 for an existing 206 square foot shed.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I've submitted the affidavits of posting and mailing to Kelly Brown. A look at the survey submitted with this application will reveal that actually the shed at its closest point is 1.9 feet as opposed to 1 foot. So I just wanted to make that for the record, and we asked the board for its favorable consideration. We don't think it will be an undesirable change in the character of the area. Can we do it by some other method? That's the most logical place for the shed. Whether the requested area variance is substantial, I don't think so in this case, as it's kind of tucked in there, and nobody seems to be complaining about it. Whether the variance will have an adverse effect on the environment, it has no environmental effect. And was the alleged difficulty self-created? The shed is there, so I can't say we propose to build it. It is there, but as the board knows, you can grant this variance even though it was self-created. Thank you.
Planning?
Comment.
Gentlemen. Thank you so much. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's regularly moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Motion carried. Next case is case 16499, Eugene and Karen Price. 143 Hayrick Lane, Comac. Location, east side of Hayrick Lane, south of Scholar Lane, Comac. Property zone R21. Request variance to reduce the distance from any lot line from 8 feet to 3 feet for an existing 160 square foot shed. Did you hand in a power of attorney?
Yes. Excuse me, is this on? Yeah, just want to let you know that this form, I'm not going to tell them not to proceed, but this form is outdated. You have to get new forms that came out in 2010.
Oh, I thought that was the new form.
I know, they did it again.
Oh,
Legislature
really?
changed the law
Oh.
twice, sorry.
All right, that's
So,
okay.
just so
No,
you
I'll
know,
get
for the
new-
next time.
Yeah, okay.
Just give me 1 second.
Sorry about
Okay.
that.
Yeah, they changed it twice in
changing
2
them.
years. Twice
Yeah.
in 2 years.
Oh.
09 and 10. Okay.
Let-
Good. Okay, thank you.
Okay. Let me have your name and address, please.
Diana Laspisa with Morano Expediting, 4 Hamilton Court, Coram, New York, 11727.
You know how to spell her last name, correct? Okay. Raise your hand. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Good evening, Madam Chair and members of the board. My name is Diana Laspisa, and I am here tonight on behalf of the property owners Eugene and Karen Price. We are requesting permission to maintain an existing 10-foot by 16-foot shed holding less than the required rear and side yard setbacks. The property to the east is owned by LIPA and is vacant, and the neighbor to the south has their pool equipment in in that corner of their property. The shed has been existing for 10 years and was purchased at and installed by Home Depot. The homeowners were told that no permits were needed, but they were required to hold a 3-foot side yard and rear yard, which is the case if the shed was 8 feet high. They would be conforming, but because it's 9'6", they have to hold the 8-foot setback. It wasn't until an inspection was done by the town for the in-ground pool in 2009 that it was brought to their attention that the shed was illegal. The pool equipment is located alongside the shed, the north wall, therefore making it very difficult for them to move. We do not feel the granting of this variance would negatively impact any of the neighboring properties. If the board has any questions?
Okay.
No
Lenny?
comments?
No.
Okay. No. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Barely moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Next case is case 16500, Julio Pena, 274 Pulaski Road, Kings Park. Are the people here? Is there anyone representing this? Okay. All right. Let me tell you what I'm going to do. I know there are a lot of people here that wanted to speak on this case. You cannot speak unless the applicant is here. But what I will do, I will call the other cases and see if they show up. All right, if you don't mind waiting. If they don't show up, I will adjourn it, and I will make sure you have the date for what the adjournment is going to be. Okay? I'm sorry, but I have to have the applicant here. Okay, let me continue, and I'll go to the next case. Was it Mr. Tramarco? Okay. I don't think so. I don't think it's Mr. No. Okay. Okay, next case is case 16501, Corinne Schumacher and Mark Sherheit, 18 Riviera Drive, Smithtown location, south side of Riviera Drive, west of East Lane, Smithtown property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the front yard setback from 40 feet to 31 foot for proposed 322 square foot porch. Reduce the rear yard setback from 50 feet to 34 feet for a proposed 664 square foot second floor addition. Gentlemen, if you are speaking in the audience, it is very difficult for the court stenographer to hear. Do you hear me? I'm telling you, you cannot speak in the audience, please. Okay. May I have your name, please?
Sure, my name is Mark Scheit,
And your address, Mark.
18 Riviera Drive, Smithtown.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay. Want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yeah, we're here to request a variance. We are looking to increase the square footage of the house to accommodate a second bathroom. We're a growing family, and things are getting tight as my daughters grow older. That's one reason. The other is my youngest daughter is living is in a nursery right now, which is very small. It's about a 7 by 10 room, and we have to move try to readjust the space in order to get her into a space which will accommodate a dresser for her growing size and her growing needs, and also to increase the storage space of the house in general, which has very small closets. As For the porch, as part of this project, we were looking to increase our usage of the front of the house and really just beautify the property and enjoy it more. As for the conditions here, we don't feel it'll impact the neighbors' properties in a negative way. We're basically, in the rear, we're demolishing an existing structure which we thought had footings underneath it and replacing it with a two-story structure. We wanted to build above it. In the process, because we learned that it had to be demolished, we are increasing it a nominal, I think it's a 4 or 5 foot size, just to make flow better and give a little bit more size. In terms of, that's the rear. The bulk of the square footage really then will end up being added above that. As for the porch, the amount that I have a picture of it, it really, when it's completed, won't sit any further forward than any of our neighbors' properties. Our property, for some reason, seems to be set back. If you look along our property line, there's about it's hard to estimate, but maybe about an 8-foot depth from the road compared to some of the neighbors' property in terms of the sight line anyway. I don't have the exact measurement, but I do have pictures if that helps. We don't feel it's a substantial request because it's a modest addition of square footage. And it's in line with the recent renovations on the block. There were 2 others that are very similar that were approved and have porches on the front and an additional square footage. And we're hoping that making the house more attractive will also improve the neighborhood. It can't be achieved alternatively because we can't build over that existing rear property. We intended to do that when we bought the house. We looked up plans. There's a showing of footing underneath it. But when we dug underneath the property, there is no footing underneath. So we were a little disappointed with that. But as it turns out, it's going to have to be demolished. And we are also at our maximum or minimum, I don't know how you would refer to that, setback. I think we're within a foot or so on all sides. So we really can't do much there without a variance. It cannot, let's see. It will not adversely affect the environment. We're not removing, it's not an environmentally sensitive area. We're basically replacing slab with slab. We're not going down and we're on a hill. I don't think we're anywhere near anything that's sensitive. We're not removing any trees or anything like that to do this. And as far as the difficulty not being created by us, we haven't done anything to the exterior of the house since we've moved in. Like I said, we had intended to do this, but we did not intend to have to demolish that part of the property. Did I cover everything?
You're good.
Thank you.
Okay. Planning?
No comments?
Okay. Gentlemen? Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
It's readily moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Ladies and gentlemen, the next case is a special exception. And with a special exception, they must meet all the criteria. And if they do not meet all the criteria, it's a permitted use. If they do not meet all the criteria, then they must ask for variances. All right? I'll read it now. Let me just see. Mr. King, are you here for the case on Pulaski Road by any chance? Okay, thank you. Okay. Case 16502, Smithtown Auto Body, 400 East Jericho Turnpike, Smithtown location, southeast and southwest corner of Prospect Avenue and Middle Country Road, property zone WSI. Request special exception to modify a repair garage. Variance to permit an accessory structure outdoor storage on a lot without a primary use. Increase outdoor storage area from 3,500 square feet to 14,785 square feet. Existing plus 11,285 square feet proposed. Reduce required landscape area in front yard from 8% to 7%. Reduce the minimum front yard from 50 feet to 25 feet for a 6-foot fence. Increase the maximum wall sign height from 15 feet to 17 increase the number of ground signs from 1 to 2, increase the number of wall signs from 1 sign to 5 sign.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Vincent Tremarco. I represent the applicant. I've submitted the affidavits of posting and mailing to Kelly Brown. As you can see, I'm sure you're all familiar with the site. At one time, probably 10, 15, 20 years ago, it was 2 sites. And you can see from this site plan that basically right down the middle, there were, it was 2 sites. Mr. Dill, through one of his companies, bought the second site, which was about 100 feet west of Prospect, and combined the sites and built probably one of the nicest body collision shops in the town of Smithtown. This is the service area. I want to just point out to you, I think you have this picture. It's an aerial, and it shows you from across the street and actually about, I guess, 300-400 feet up in the air, an aerial view of the facility. Part of the service facility is a separate building where the offices are, and then there's the rest of the facility, which is separated and is not connected, and that houses most of the body shop workers and facilities. One of the things that we're asking this board to do is something that the board allowed me to do with another client probably a year and a half ago, and that was Bel Air Auto, which is also a body shop in the western end of the town. And we asked the board to allow us to construct a parking area or storage area not adjacent to or contingent with the existing property. In that case, Bel Air owned property across Jericho Turnpike, and the increase was from 3,500 square feet to 40,000 square feet. And with certain conditions, the board approved the application. In this case, we're 3,500 to approximately 15,000 square feet, and a good part of that is existing. We propose to improve the other side, or the easterly side of Prospect and Jericho Turnpike. You can see from this diagram or site plan, this is the proposed use on the easterly side of Prospect, which again fronts on Jericho Turnpike or Middle Country Road. And you can see the landscaping proposed, the parking areas, heavily buffered with landscaping on the southerly and westerly sides, and also on Middle Country Road. So what we're talking about, if you look at the picture submitted, this is the facility, and this is the parking area, which we're asking the board for its favorable consideration. Again, it's probably one of the nicest facilities in Smithtown, as was Bel Air, who was on the westerly portion of the town. In that case, you gave us from 3,500, I'm repeating myself, to 40,000. Here it's much less of an increase, but the same idea. It becomes more and more apparent to people in the automobile business that without substantial storage, you can't be in business. And that's the reason why we're requesting you tonight to grant these, this special exception with the variance that it's not adjacent to or on the same piece of property. If you've passed Bel Air, you can see that they're in the process now doing a finalization of that project. I suspect that Mr. Dill will do the same, work on his project if this board is so inclined to grant it. The other variance is the freestanding signs. Well, there always was 2 signs on on this piece of property because there were 2 separate uses. Mr. Dill indicates to me that he never changed the sign which is closest or west on the westerly side of the property. That was there for many, many years prior to him even buying it. And of course, there's the other sign for this facility where the office is. With respect to the signs, let me go to the landscaping. It's de minimis. It's from 8% to 7%, and the request of the front yard from 50 to 25 is for a 6-foot fence, which is necessary to protect the cars that are in storage. It has no adverse effect on anything. It's back from Prospect, so it's not something that will be an incursion on traffic or suffer traffic views in going down Prospect Street. Will it make an undesirable change in the character of the area? Well, the building is there. It's been approved for a number of years. Again, you know what the facility looks like. It's well kept, and it's not something that's a vagabond body shop, although we don't have too many of them in Smithtown. Whether the benefit sought by the applicant can be achieved by some other method. No, it can't. This is the only area that we can use for storage, and it's fronts on Jericho and Prospect. It's zoned WSI, so there is no request for a change of zone or incursion of parking into a residential district. The site, the sign height from 15 to 17 feet, again, we feel is de minimis given the fact of all of the buildings along Jericho Turnpike, so it will not have any effect on sight distance or have any effect on people driving along either east or west on Middle Country Road. The signs on the buildings are basically signs which are not, they're leaded signs, they're not big box signs, so we don't think that that would have an adverse effect on the character of the area. And we ask the board, again, for their favorable consideration. I'm sure that this board or members of the board did inspect the premises prior to this hearing tonight. So again, we ask the board for its favorable consideration. There are a couple of variances with respect to this special exception, which we did touch upon. It is across the street. It's not adjacent to or touching the existing facility. Not only did you allow Bel Air to do that, but there were a number of dealerships which you increased the parking requirement of triple by 10 or 20. I can think of Volkswagen, Nissan, and a number of them. All of this is needed to stay in business today. You need the area for storage, or you can't stay in business. And that's why we're asking the board for its favorable consideration. I'm sure if Mr. Dill wanted to build a building on the Easterly Peace Prospect and Middle Country Road, there would be substantial revenue that would come from that, but that's not what he needs. He'd rather put storage, landscape the property as per the Board of Site Plan Review and as per our proposal. So again, we ask the board for its favorable consideration. If the board has any questions, Mr. Dill is here, and of course, I'll try and answer them.
Mr. Tramarko, go ahead.
I just have one question. In this particular case, outdoor storage means vehicles, no other materials, or
No, vehicles,
just strictly vehicles?
just vehicles, yes.
Thank you.
Mr. Tramarko, as you know, that we did visit the site. I was there yesterday. When I went down Prospect, there were all cars parked on down Prospect. Are those the workers that park there? Do you know?
I'll ask. Yes.
Is there going to be any room? I mean, there were many, many cars in the storage area and in the thing. Is there going to be any room for the workers to be parking anyplace else, or are they going to be still parking down that street?
Speaking to Mr. Dill, he's indicated that that's one of the purposes of the Prospect side parking area, that we will be taking the employees' parking off the street and into that second part of the lot that you see now is wooded. Yes, that is one of our purposes. We know that there's some no parking signs that sometimes are violated. He wants to take care of all of that and put his employees off the street.
Okay. One other question, well, I'm just going to give you information. There is no PAR tonight. So I don't know how you'd like to handle it. If you'd like, I will let people speak if they would like to, and adjourn it so you can see the PAR and then come back, or would you?
No, I'd like to keep the case open. I don't want to.
I would think so, that you'd want to see
Right.
that PAR. Well, let me have people, anyone from the board here and anyone from the audience speak, and then I will give you a date to adjourn it, and so that you can review the PAR.
That's fine.
All right? Okay, first of all, planning, do you have anything?
No, just to let you know that we have not had the time yet to do the PAR, and we are working on it.
Okay. Gentlemen, anything?
No.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Okay. Would you all come forward, please, and I'll take you one at a time, please. One person or two?
I'll go first.
You'll go first? Okay, good. May I have your name, and you're going to spell your last name for me, and use the mic if you can.
Christine Lebci, Lebci, and I'm at 44 Prospect Avenue.
Okay, you're going to have to speak right into that mic.
Okay.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
I've lived on that block for 18 years. Our school buses can't get past. If an ambulance had to get down, it wouldn't be able to get down. If a fire truck had to get down, it wouldn't get down. They are so disrespectful to the community. I have 3 children. There's 2 buses that go down that street every day, and there are times that the bus gets stuck at the end waiting for a tow truck to move. He's been very disrespectful to the community. We petitioned for those signs, the no parking signs, so that it would ease traffic. And it was like, and they parked trailers full of pieces of cars that they were disposing of right in front of a no parking sign. My concern is that if he's granted this and not with some kind of restriction, he's just going to disrespect the community again. Unfortunately, he's at the end of a residential street, and I'm just concerned about our safety. My house is burning. How is that truck going to get past? It's going to wait for him to move all the cars. I'm just very concerned.
Okay,
So that was
thank you
all.
so much. May I have your name, please?
Heidi Fragano, 2 Cypress Court.
So your last name, Heidi.
Frigano.
Okay. You can lift that mic, please.
What'd you say?
Lift it if you'd like.
Lift it? Oh, yeah, because you don't want me, okay.
Yeah. Raise your
I
right
can take my
hand.
shoes off.
Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, so the board has already said that they've gone by the site, and I know while Mr. Tramarko says it's very well kept, I'm sure that you wouldn't agree with that. It's completely unkept. The vegetation is overgrown, as has been addressed, and I'm glad that you saw it for yourself. Double parked cars going both down sides of Prospect Avenue. They double park on 25, so we can't even make the turn out. Mr. Dill has been disrespectful, And I understand that the board has on numerous occasions told them to clean the property up. It has not been cleaned up. The property that they're talking about where they're proposing to put this storage space has been currently used. Trees have been cut down, and I'm sure without permits, and if you've inspected it, you can see that. Mr. Tramarko brought up Bel Air Auto, and he also said Volkswagen and Nissan, I believe. From what I understand, I know Volkswagen and Nissan are not near a residential area, especially with higher-end homes. So again, and the board approved that that development be put in place, and I think that originally it was said that they should come through off of Hillside, and when that couldn't happen, they did break through on Prospect. However, it is and does have adverse effect on the property. The condition of the property, there are people on my block that have tried to sell their homes, have been faced with the problem because of the Jamaica Queens looking property that is on the corner of Prospect Avenue. He mentioned a sign. That sign has been broken, okay, and there's just posts sitting up there. If he can't keep the property that he currently has now, what is for us to think that he's going to comply with anything that you tell him to do, since he has not done any of it? And again, in just driving by, you will see that. What else? I just want to make sure I cover everything. Talked about the cars, the vegetation, the adverse effect, the sign, the fact that, again, bringing up Bel Air Auto more than one time, and Nissan and Volkswagen, it really has absolutely no effect on our property, the taxes that I pay, the fact that I should have that horrible, wretched building, and everything that goes along with it, that I have to contend with that every day. I have his workers that fly down the block testing out cars. It's an absolute horrific situation, so I appreciate your time.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone else? Okay. All right. Mr. Tramarko?
Well, we certainly understand the neighbor's concern. One of the things that will happen if the board decides to grant this application is we will be able to maintain, vegetate, and buffer that portion of the property which we're asking the board to approve, which is across from Prospect, which I indicated would relieve the parking on the street. I'm sure this board could render a decision with conditions that would hopefully, not hopefully, would control that parking issue. As far as cleanup, when you go into a vacant lot in commercial property without a permit, you get in trouble. So the reason that a lot of this stuff wasn't done is because we needed to make an application to do just what precisely we want to do. Nobody likes to live next to commercial property. It's a situation that unfortunately happens all over Smithtown. Bel Air backs right up to brand new houses that were built within 7 or 8 years ago. This board required a buffer in the rear, and my client in that case is complying with it. Certainly, you can condition the type of vegetation and buffering that you would like, along with the Board of Site Plan Review, which always requires more than adequate buffers when you're next to residential. Again, unfortunately, all along Jericho Turnpike, once the commercial part of the property ends, the zoning, then comes residential. It's just the way it is, and that's the way it is all over. That's not to say that we shouldn't be a good neighbor, and I'm sure that Mr. Dill will take all of this into consideration. Certainly, the testing of cars down Prospect, if that's the case, isn't going to happen anymore.
Okay. Let me just tell you, I'm going to adjourn it. I'm thinking that, you think that PAR can be done, it will be done in 2 weeks?
I would like a little more time, Madam Chairman.
Okay. All right. I'm going to give, then I'll give you October 11th.
All right.
Okay? Now, you are able, October 11th, this is adjournment, you are allowed to come back if you'd like to. However, what I'm going to do is when you come back, everything is that you said tonight is on the record. So you're not going to have to repeat everything you had said, all right? The only thing that we're going to go over in October 11th is that PAR, that you'll be able to look at that and answer anything. All right?
Right, and I expect that the planning department will get the PAR to me prior to that day.
As soon as I get it, you'll get it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay? PAR is a planning advisory report from the planning department. Okay? Okay. All right, so this case is adjourned to October 11th. Okay. Okay. It looks like that case on Pulaski Road, anyone that showed up for that case on Pulaski? They're outside? No, I don't want the opposition. I want the applicants. All right. Okay. It looks like they're not going to show tonight. The case was 16500 on Pulaski. I am going to adjourn it. I will give them that next meeting, September 27th. All right, and then if they don't show up at that time, we'll have to take some action. All right, just do me a favor. Then they're not going to have to send out any cards again. So just look at the sign, you know, where the sign is posted, to make sure of that date, or call the planning department to make sure it's going to be September 27th. I know. I was there. They put it back up. It's probably back on the ground again. Okay. All right. But they did have it posted. I don't know for how long, but I was there. We put it back up, and it was down. All right. So just look for that sign. All right. Okay. So I'll give it September 27th. Adjourn too. All right. You're very welcome. Because I don't want to see you staying here all night. All right. And if they do show up, I will not allow them to speak. Okay? Quiet. Okay. Next case is case 16503, Joshua and Jamie Glass. Good, you're here. 30 Rainbow Drive, Hauppauge location, south side of Rainbow Drive, east of Miami Place, Hauppauge, property zone R15. Request variance to reduce the rear yard setback from 60 feet to 51 for a proposed 368 square foot first floor addition. Permit environmentally sensitive land depth to groundwater less than 10 feet to be altered. Increase the FAR from 25% to 100%. 100% existing due to environmentally sensitive land. However, the actual FAR is going to be 20%. May I have your name, please?
Joshua Glass.
And your address, Joshua.
30 Rainbow Drive in Hauppauge.
Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. You want to tell us why you're here, please?
Yes, my wife and I are looking to expand on our master bedroom and put a second bathroom in our house. We currently have one full bathroom and that's it. We have two little girls, and as you can imagine, my wife, two little girls, the bathroom can get somewhat crowded at times, so we're looking at that to enhance our quality of life a little bit. Our current master bedroom is a relatively small bedroom where we have with our bed and our bedroom furniture probably about a 2 or 3 foot wide area where we can walk around the bed, and that's it. It's small. We're going to also increase closet space in there. Currently, my clothes are on racks in the basement, so it's It's a very big closet. So these are all things that we're looking to do to enhance our quality of life in there. The girls are getting bigger. I can't see the bathroom situation as it exists now getting any better.
And you want to bring your clothes up?
I would love to bring my clothes up.
Okay.
As far as an undesirable change to the neighborhood, I don't feel that it would provide an undesirable change. The extension that we're proposing would be in the rear of the house only. The only visible side of it would be maybe if you were driving up the road and from my neighbor exactly adjacent to me, who has also done a very similar extension on not her bedroom side of the house, but the other side. So she knows what it's like to want to increase the size of the house a little bit. As far as benefit being achieved by any other means, I don't believe so, short of maybe going up. And that's not a financially suitable position for us right now. The requested area variance is not substantial. It's a small extension. I think just under 400 square feet is what we're asking for. And I know we are on environmentally sensitive land because of the groundwater table. You should probably have the test hole data that we submitted last week. I don't know if you have that with you, but we did have a test hole dug.
Do you have that in this file? Is there a test hole? Let's see. I'll look.
Mm-hmm.
This will cause you a little really.
I confirmed with Deborah that that it was received, the originals.
Yeah, it has to be in the file. No, you'll see it from the environmental.
It was done by McDonald Geoscience.
I don't see it. They must have it because you have a type 2, so they must have the test hole.
What is
the
it, type 2?
environmental department.
Okay. Yeah, I did speak with them, and I confirmed that they had the originals. I think it was last Thursday. I had it done a while ago. I didn't know that they needed the originals advanced, but she said she had put her recommendations
Do you have
in.
any idea what it was?
I believe, if memory serves, it was 6 feet to groundwater, and that was, I don't even remember when it was done. But I believe it was 6 feet to groundwater. We're not proposing a full basement. We're just pouring a slab and a crawl space, so it's not going to be that deep in the proposed extension. And I can't see it making any real difference to the environment based on what we're requesting.
Yeah, you have a type 2, so I'm sure that's true.
Okay.
Okay.
And I think that's any questions that I can address?
I don't think so. Planning?
None at all.
Gentlemen?
No question. No, thanks. Nope.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Really moving second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. I'll read it, and then you want to make a... Case 16504, Carlo Tanzi Senior Family, LLP, 4 Indian Head Road, Kings Park. Location, northwest corner of Indian Head Road and Meadow Road, West Kings Park, property zone CB. Request variance to reduce setback for ground sign from property line from 10 feet to 2 feet existing. Increase the number of ground signs from 1 to 2. Increase the number of wall signs from 1 to 4, retail store. Increase the number of awning signs from 1 to 13. Increase the number of wall signs from 1 to 4 for a restaurant. Permit 2 wall signs to not face a public street. Increase the height of a wall sign from 15 feet to 20. Reduce the setback of awning signs from property line from 1 foot to 0. Mr. Tanzi?
Anthony Tanzi, 4 Indian Head Road, Kings Park, New York, 11754.
All right. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do. Good evening, Madam Chair, and what's left of the members of the board. I'd just like to state for the record that I am an interested party in this application, and I also sit on this board, and as such, I don't expect any preferential treatment, nor do I want any preferential treatment. Please base your decision solely on the merits of the case. And with that said, I'm going to turn it over to Mr. Vincent Franchi.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Madam Chairman, members of the board, I'm the architect for the project, Vincent Franchi.
All right. Spell your last name. Mr.
F-R-A-N-C-H-I.
Okay. And your address.
89 Route, R-O-O-T Avenue, Islip, New York.
Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Let me tell you, you need to walk around with that mic if that's what you're going to do.
Okay.
Okay, so that everyone can hear you, all right?
Great.
Thank you so much.
Okay, tonight, actually, it sounds like quite a bit of variances that we're looking for, but basically, this is a long-standing shopping center that has multiple tenants. Recently, and we're currently in the progress of some tenant changes, which is basically requiring signage changes for the new tenants that are moving in. Now, part of that is actually to meet the various tenants' requirements for advertisement or identification throughout the site. What I'd like to do, if I may, is actually do a handout which has some updated information. Basically, the signs, the sizes, everything stays the same, but the content and some of the wording has changed. So if I may...
Sure.
Okay, there's actually 5 copies here.
Thank you so much.
What I'd like to do is just basically walk you through the site. We have actually 2 ground signs that identify the site as Tansy Plaza. One being on the Indian Head Road on the east side of the site. Excuse me, on the east side of the site. The other one being on this Meadow Road on the south side of the site. Both at totally opposite corners of the site. Now, one sign meets all the requirements, and we actually have a permit issued. The sign labeled actually GS1, ground sign 1, is actually only 2 foot from the existing property line. You'll see in the pictures that the sidewalk on Indian Head Road is right adjacent to the sign. The sign has been there for actually existing for quite a few years now. So that identifies the 2 signs. Then I'm going to go to one of the outbuildings, which is, it used to be a Happy Days restaurant. It's now going to be a Sombreros Mexican restaurant. And we're proposing to put 4 signs on that building to cover each side. Again, it's an independent sign, and basically an outbuilding that's standing alone, but there's parking on 3 sides of the building and Meadow Road to the south. So our approach, we have a permit already applied for and issued for the main approach off Meadow Road, but we'd also like to identify the other 3 sides of the building with the new tenant because it's parking on all 3 sides. Again, then I'd like to just move forward. There's actually the main complex of the shopping center, which has the CVS. There's a hair salon, a barber shop, nail salon, tanning salon, which will bring us to the Dixie Smokehouse, which actually has a sign permit for the existing sign. However, it's part of this application because a variance was never issued for that sign facing on the north side. Then I'd like to move over to the KP, or Kings Park Hardware, which basically is a new tenant, used to be the old Blockbuster building. We are looking to apply for 4 signs labeled H1 through 4. 3 walls, but all 4 are wall signs, one H4 being a medallion sign mounted to the building facing the, you'll see it on the actual photograph towards the back right before the last 2 photographs actually show the Kings Park. And you'll see there's 5 awnings facing Indian Head Road. Unfortunately, our property line is only about 1 foot off the building, so that's why we're going from 1 foot to 0 on that particular application for a setback. And then each of the 13 awnings, which are directly over each of the windows and the entrances to the 2 entrances to the facility, to the tenant area, we're going to put awnings. Now, because those awnings, we're going to kind of advertise just what's inside the hardware store. Each of them becomes a sign. So we have 13 individual awnings that have some verbiage, and you'll see that in the applications that you have in front of you. But we kind of have a unique site. I mean, we have the facade of the building both on Indian Head Road and Meadow Road, but very limited tenant access is off those corridors. We just have a barber shop and a tanning salon that is really off Meadow Road. All of the other tenants access directly from the interior of the site. So the reason we're requesting additional signage and signage to the north side of the building, which basically just faces the Long Island Railroad Station, the entire north side faces the station. But in order for people, I mean, again, even the east access is right near the tracks. Very difficult to come in and out with the traffic lights when the railroad crossing's down. We like to get people in to the site as fast as possible, let them locate which tenant or which store they're going to, therefore move the traffic flow very easily around the site. Bring them in, bring them further into the interior because most of our parking is back here, and we feel with the proper signage, we could actually do that and eliminate some of the traffic issues also that may come up. The canopy itself, I just have a sample here. We're looking at a kind of a golden yellow. I could pass this around. That's actually a sunbrella canvas material. And then, but at this point, we feel that there's no impact to the adjacent properties because over the years, there's been signage changing with the various tenants on and off the site. Also, we feel it's not substantial because we're not changing the overall character of the shopping center. Basically, we're just kind of relabeling it. And the benefit, we feel, is basically we'll have better identification labeling each of the businesses and the tenants within the site. Also, there will be no impact on the environment. And whether this was self-created or not kind of goes back to the review of the site. Basically, keeping those visible lines, keeping the traffic moving, keeping people attending the stores that they want to attend, not parking in one part of the site and walking to the other side. So what we like is also, what I like to point out is on one of the signs, which is kind of labeled H4 application S2970, which is the round medallion sign over the front entrance, kind of little diagonal off of Indian Head Road there by the east entrance. We had indicated that we were going to go to a 20-foot height. We're actually like to reduce that to a 17-foot height. And in keeping with a variance that was issued back, or a BZA issued back in 1996, which allowed us to put signs to a maximum of 18 feet in height, we will not be exceeding that 18 feet with any of our signs, any of the proposed new signs at this point. So we'll still be in compliance with the 1996. And at that point, I'd like to open it up to any additional questions there might be.
The only thing I have, and I'll tell you why I object, these signs here on this fence and all over here,
okay,
they're going to have to be removed.
They actually are. They kind of put them up for special events and take them down.
Okay.
So that actually, I don't know if you drove by recently there.
Yes, I'm there.
Okay.
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 Planning?
No further comments?
Gentlemen?
No, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Let's see if there's anyone. Would you like this back?
Yes, please.
Okay.
Thank you so much.
All right. Thank you. Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, we'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Is readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried.
Thank you.
Okay. Next case is case 16505, Michael and Ellen Greenwood. Okay, come on. 82 Eklund Boulevard, Nesconset location, southeast corner of Audubon Street, Eklund Boulevard. I don't know why they have that. Nesconset property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the front yard on Audubon Street from 40 feet to 0, existing 29 feet for a proposed 6-foot vinyl fence. May I have your name, please?
Yes, it's Michael Greenwood,
And your address?
82 Eklund Boulevard, Nesconset, New York.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Okay, you want to tell us why you're here?
Yes. What we'd like to do is put up a 6-foot vinyl fence, and being that we have a corner house, we have the 2 front yard issues. Presently, what we're looking to do was reduce the front yard on Audubon Street from 40 feet to 0 feet. I had come before the board back in 1994 to put up a 5-foot fence to go from 40 feet to 0 feet, which they did grant. So basically, we're looking to replace the existing 5-foot fence with a 6-foot fence. If you're familiar with Eklund Boulevard,
We were there yesterday.
Okay. It's a little bit of a connecting street from Gibbs Pond to Browns Road, so the traffic is probably a little bit heavier than a typical neighborhood street. So if you saw this site, you would see, number one, we're definitely due for a new fence, but number two, it would offer us some privacy. In fact, we have a tree that was right in front of the fence. I don't know if I can actually come up and give you a photo, if you need it.
No.
Okay, being you saw the site, we had a weeping willow, pretty good-sized tree that offered us a little bit of a buffer from the road, but that tree now is gone because it was somewhat in the power lines, and the day before the hurricane, we did have the tree removed because we knew it wasn't going to make it through the storm.
Maybe a good idea, huh?
Planned ahead. So, as far as the fence we're requesting, it is consistent with many other fences in the area. Again, I did take photos of 5 other houses in my immediate neighborhood that do have 6-foot vinyl fences, corner houses where their fences are at the property line. Of the 5 houses that I took photos of, one of them is on my own block, which would be the corner.
But you don't know of those houses, and I always say this, those houses, you take pictures of these houses, you don't know if they have permits or they have variances.
I do not, no. Okay. I like to believe they do.
Well.
I know I try to do everything the way we're supposed to do, but I guess I like to assume that other people do as well. So, like I said, as far as having an impact on any adjacent properties, I think my neighbors would actually be happy with a fresh fence. They benefit from it as well, yet I'm bearing the expense. As far as the benefit being achieved by some type of alternative, I don't really see any other than adding height to our existing fence. As far as any environmental issues, I don't really see any for this. And the only difficulty being created by myself was the fact that I didn't apply for a 6-foot fence back in 1994, which I kind of regret today, but that's where we're at. So I would hope that you would find a favorable response.
We'll see. Planning?
No comments?
Gentlemen?
No, ma'am.
No.
Okay, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Really moved in second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Okay. Next case is case 16506, multi-brand St. James. Multi-brand street, I guess, St. James? No, multi-brand. Is it St. James? Yeah, it is. Okay. Location, north side of Middle Country Road, west of Lake Avenue, and it says Smithtown. I guess this is St. James, though.
Yes, it is.
It is St. James, right? That's where we, okay. Property zone WSI. This is a special exception. Again, a special exception is a permitted use if they meet all the criteria for it. If they do not, they have to ask for variances to waive some of the standards. A special exception For a counter-service restaurant, variance to waive a special exception standards that plot area is adequate for the proposed use. Waive special exception standard for adequate parking for the proposed use. Waive special exception standard that requires adequate buffer yards. Waive special exception standards that require planting areas at least 25 feet deep along front property line and at least 6 feet deep along other property lines. Reduce the minimum required landscape area between parking and public right-of-way from 8% to 6%. Reduce the minimum parking from 65 spaces to 19 spaces. Reduce the minimum required truck loading spaces from 1 to 0. Reduce the minimum required parking setback from 6 feet to 4 existing. Increase the number of permitted wall signs from 1 to 5, 3 wall signs plus 2 awning signs. Increase the maximum height of a wall sign from 15 feet to 17 feet. To permit an awning sign to have writing on an area other than the flap. To permit an awning sign to be illuminated. Your name, please?
Carmine Grasso, Cataldo Grasso Architects.
Okay. Raise your right hand. Give us your address first, Carmine.
14 Carl Avenue, Smithtown, New York.
Okay. Do you swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes.
Do you have a power of attorney? Okay, thank you. Go ahead, Carmine.
Good evening, Madam Chairman, members of the board. My name is Carmine Grasso of Cataldo Grasso Architects. I represent Multi-Brand St. James in their application for a special exception to permit a counter-service restaurant in the WSI zoning district, as well as some parking and sign variances. As you can see, it sounds like quite a bit of variances, but I'll try to go through it quickly. Right now, there's currently a 3,242 square foot building on the site, as well as a 493 square foot storage building on the site. There are currently 16 existing parking spaces. We propose to remove the storage building and increase the parking to 19 spaces. We're proposing a Dunkin' Donuts in the existing building. Approximately 1,800 square feet of the building will be dedicated to the Dunkin' Donuts counter-service restaurant use, and approximately 1,400 square feet will be used for storage. My client operates a number of Dunkin' Donuts, and the storage area will house goods for all of his locations. I submitted a letter with the application outlining how the proposal meets or does not meet the special exception standards. I'm going to go over those right now. The counter-service restaurant use is in harmony and promotes the general purposes and intent of Chapter 322-2 of the Building Zone Ordinances. The plot area is not adequate to provide parking for the 3,242 square foot counter-service restaurant use. The parking for this use is 65 spaces per the zoning ordinances. We're providing 19 parking spaces. Based on a visual survey of another Dunkin' Donuts in the area, in the site, Dunkin' Donuts site in the area, excuse me, we feel that 19 parking spaces is adequate for the proposed use. The site is surrounded by commercial uses, and this use will not prevent the orderly and reasonable use of adjacent properties. The site's provided with adequate fire protection, water supply, sewage disposal, and access. The topography is flat, and the soils are suitable, and there's good drainage. The site is not unsuitably near any church, school, theater, or recreation area. The counter-service restaurant use conforms to the definition in Chapter 322-3. The access facilities are adequate for the estimated traffic from public streets and sidewalks, and the vehicular entrance is more than 75 feet from the intersection with Lake Avenue. We do not propose to change the site access. It's been in place for approximately 30 years. The on-site parking is not adequate to provide the required parking for the counter-service restaurant use. Again, the required parking for this use is 65 spaces. We're providing 19, and as I said before, we've looked at another Dunkin' Donuts site in the area, and the 19 spaces seems to be adequate for the use. The parking configuration does not provide the required setbacks for the property lines per Section 322.65A of the Building Zoning Ordinance. The parking setbacks right now exist, and this proposal does not seek to alter them. We are proposing a few new parking spaces, and where this is proposed, we will meet the required parking setbacks. The site meets all the requirements for stormwater runoff and for sanitary sewage and other waste disposal. The site is not in the local waterfront area. The use will not have an adverse effect on the environment. The site's been developed for approximately 30 years. The current proposal will remove an existing storage building from the rear of the site, thereby reducing the overall building area on the site. The sanitary flow for the proposed use is less than what's allowable flow for the site, and the landscape area will actually increase from that which currently exists. The proposed development, we feel, is consistent with the comprehensive plan of the town of Smithtown. The details of how the proposal meets or doesn't meet the special exception standards for counter service restaurant are as follows. The use is not a discotheque, which is part of that, that section of the ordinance, so therefore it's permitted to be within 200 feet of a residence district. There are no residence districts adjacent to the site. A planting area is 6 foot deep. A planting area 6 foot deep is provided where new parking is proposed. A variance is requested to maintain the existing parking setback of 4'11" on the east property line and 4'2" on the north property line. There is only one existing curb cut, and it's greater than 75 feet from a residence district, and no additional curb cuts are proposed. There'll be no drive-in window as part of the proposal. There'll be no outdoor loudspeaker as part of the proposal, and there'll be no outdoor dining area or outdoor play area as part of this proposal. And that addresses the items as part of the special exception. I'd also like to add at this time that the parking request that we're going for is from 65 to 19 spaces, and that calculation is based on the entire building being considered counter-service restaurant. If you calculate the actual area of the restaurant and storage, as I stated before, 1,800 square feet plus or minus is for the restaurant, 1,400 for storage. If you calculate that area, you'll find that the parking requirement is actually reduced to 39 spaces. So we'd be going from 39 to 19, which is a much less of a request. I've also submitted a letter detailing observations I made over an approximately 2-month period at the other local Dunkin' Donuts on Jericho Turnpike, just west of Edgewood Avenue. If you're familiar with that site, it's a pretty busy area. There's a lot of people going in and out of that Dunkin' Donuts. You'll see from the letter that I submitted the observations that the most cars I've seen in there at one time was 17. The average is about 10 cars. It's also important to note that this location has a cross-access with a site that has an office building on it, right adjacent to it. I noticed there was generally more cars parked in the Dunkin' Donuts site than there were actually people and, customers and employees in the Dunkin' Donuts. So based on that, I would assume that some of the people that are parked in the Dunkin' Donuts site, which parking is right up against the office building, would be using the office building. So based on that information and based on my client's experience with his other Dunkin' Donuts sites, he feels that 19 parking spaces are adequate for the use. In regards to the other variances, the truck loading space we feel is not something that's going to be required because the deliveries are made prior to the store opening early in the morning, so it's not going to be interfering with any of the cars parked on the site. We're requesting a reduction in landscaping from 8% to 5.8%. Although we're doing this, we're actually increasing the landscaping by 1.4% from the existing conditions. The existing conditions are 4.4% of the front yard area being landscaped. The reduction in the parking setbacks is really just a request to maintain the existing conditions. The increase from 1 to 5 signs is for 3 wall signs and 2 awning signs, as you stated before. These signs are typical of a Dunkin' Donuts franchise. And that's a standard thing that they would like to request having on their building. The height increase for the 2 wall signs is necessary to fit above the protective awnings at the front entrance doors. You have a copy of the elevations there. You can see there's an awning above the entrance door and a little entrance element where there's a logo sign over that. It goes from, I believe it's from 15 feet is the maximum height. We are going to 16'10", so it's not a large increase. There will be writing, they are proposing writing on the sloped portion of the awnings, which the zoning ordinances require only writing on the flap of an awning. Again, that's a typical Dunkin' Donuts standard. Therefore, they'd like to keep that in this restaurant also. They also request that the awnings be illuminated underneath them. Again, it's a Dunkin' Donuts standard. I've seen it on many Dunkin' Donuts restaurants. I do not know if there's any in the town of Smithtown that actually have illuminated awnings. I can't state that for sure. The one that we've looked at, the similar Dunkin' Donuts that we looked at on by Edgewood Avenue is an older store and doesn't have the design that this has. With regard to the area variance considerations, we feel that the variance would not produce an impact on adjacent properties in the neighborhood because the building currently exists on the site. We're not looking to change the size of the building at all, and the use will fit in well with the surrounding uses. The request is not substantial because the signage is similar to other Dunkin' Donuts buildings, especially if you look at the one on Route 347 next to the watermill, very similar signage on that building. Although the parking reduction is large, the proposed parking we feel is appropriate for the intended use. The proposal, the benefit cannot be achieved by an alternate because the proposal provides the maximum parking that can fit on the site. The signage is typical, again, of Dunkin' Donuts. Variance would not cause an adverse effect on the environment because the use is in character with other counter service restaurants in the area, and the sanitary flow for the use is less than the allowable flow for the site, and the provided parking is appropriate for the use. And the difficulty was created by the applicant because he is requesting signage and parking that does not conform to the town zoning standards. If you have any questions, I'll be happy to attempt to answer them now.
Okay, I have a few things.
Okay.
Number one, first of all, there's no PAR.
Yes,
So
I'm aware of that.
You have a right to adjourn this and then look at the PAR.
Okay.
Secondly, I would like, so when this is adjourned, I want to see all the colors that these signs are going to be.
Okay.
I don't want this in black and white.
Okay,
So
we can do
I
that.
would like you to, next time, and when it's adjourned, I want to see everything that's, so it's colored in, so I can see all, this board can see all the colors.
Okay,
of
I
the
know
signs
I know it
and of
says
the-
the colors on there, but it's easier, it's better to actually see them.
Yep,
Right.
I would like to see what they
okay,
are.
not
okay?
a problem.
The second thing is, you only did the comparison to one Dunkin' Donuts as far as parking spaces?
Yeah, and the reason I did that was because the other Dunkin' Donuts in the area have drive-throughs, and I felt that they weren't similar to this one because this one's not going to have a drive-through. The one that we did that I did look at, I understand there's an application in now. I don't know if it's into the planning department for a drive-through in there, but it's a similar type of building, standalone building. So that's why I use that one as a comparison.
Okay. I'll let the planning and the gentlemen just ask any questions they want. Do you want us to adjourn this to a date so that you can look at the PAR?
I think that would be a
Yeah.
good idea.
Can we have this PAR by next meeting?
I would appreciate a little extra consideration.
What is the alternative to adjourning it?
The alternative,
Just so I know, just
alternative is if there is recommendations in that PAR that you do not agree with,
okay.
you don't have the opportunity to
defend them, right?
To tell me,
Right.
you know.
Rebut them.
Okay. I guess October 11th again.
I also understand there's no secret determination yet at this point,
Well,
but
they're
I'm
not gonna
assuming
get a
you're not going to
secret-
get one till after that hearing. if I-
That's right.
Okay,
So October 11th,
okay.
all right? That's,
I just have a question.
Go ahead.
Yes.
You spoke about cross-access with the building next door. Is
Yeah.
that strictly pedestrian cross-access? They park over
That
there
was
and
at
walk?
that was at the other Dunkin' Donuts that I was looking at.
Oh, the
to
other one.
comparison, yeah.
This
Yeah, there's
doesn't.
actually no. That's at the other Dunkin' Donuts is a vehicular cross access, but that was just for a comparison. I just wanted to state that at that one, there's also an office building next door that the cars can go through to that, and you see cars parked in the Dunkin' Donuts parking lot using that office building. This site has no cross access. It's just a standalone site.
Right. Thank you.
You're welcome.
any other questions? Anything else?
Chairman.
Okay. Okay, we'll go to October 11th.
Okay.
Okay.
Thank you very
So-
much.
Okay, thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Okay. Hearing now, I'll entertain a motion to close, well, we're not closing it. We're just adjourning it to October 11th. So, all right. Thank you. Next case is case 16507 WSI Properties, Inc., Globalcom, 45 Oster Avenue, Hauppauge, location, south side of Oster Avenue and east of Plant Avenue, Hauppauge, property zone LI. Request variance to reduce the number of landscape islands from 19 to 11, 17 existing. Increase the number of parking stalls between landscaping islands from 20 to 36. Good evening.
Hi, good evening,
May I
Madam
have your
Chairman
name?
and members of the board.
Your name, please?
Eldon Smith, architect, from William Collins Architects.
Do you have power of attorney?
I do.
You do. And did you give it to the attorney?
I did.
Okay.
This gentleman's name is?
Your name again?
Eldon Smith.
Okay. He's named. Okay, let me just see.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay. Let me have your name and your address, please.
Eldon Smith, E-L-D-O-N, address 47 Willis Street, Northport, New York.
Okay. Raise your right hand, please. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you.
Again, good evening. As stated, this variance is on behalf of Globecom to reduce the number of landscape islands, as stated, from 19 to 11. This is also to increase the number of parking stalls between the landscape islands from 20 to 36. This would yield an increase of 14 parking spaces. This proposal should not create an undesirable change by granting a favorable result of this request. This cannot be achieved in another way on their site. The variance is not considered to be a substantial change.
Flannery?
No comments?
Gentlemen?
No, no question.
Okay. Thank you so much.
Thank
Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
Ready, moved, and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion carried. Okay. Next case is case 1-16203, reopen of Viper Inc., 150 Terry Road, location northwest corner of Carolyn Avenue and Terry Road, Smithtown, property zone NB. Request variance to modify the decision of the board dated July 13th, 2010, so as to waive the portion of the condition number 2 of the approval that requires the first floor elevation not to be any higher than 67.5 based on the plot plan submitted with the application.
Donald King, 75 East Main Street, Kings Park, New York, attorney for the applicant. Thank you for reopening it. When Richie moved his building, we had great difficulty getting all the approvals, and we finally got the approvals. He moved it, and unfortunately, the building is slightly higher than was allowed as one of the conditions of the board, and we have a letter from John that it's about 1.23 feet higher than it should have been. We think that's about 15 or 16 inches. When I sent you the memo to reopen the hearing, I showed you photos of the adjoining properties, and for him to now have to lift the building and reduce the foundation down, that 15 inches would be catastrophic after, he didn't do it intentionally. It's there, and we're asking that you give him some consideration here. It's an impossible task to reduce the building down. And it was an error. John picked up on it, and we're here to rectify that without killing him. That's it. I mean, you have the
Okay.
photos, and the impact, we will do whatever it is to remediate the impact to the neighbors who are behind the building. If you want Leyland cypresses, Richie said he'll plant them. But if you look, there's a lot of, at those photos I submitted to you, there's a lot of other buildings that I've marked up that also are of similar elevation with large exposed backs, and we're kind of asking just for whatever they got, we could, if we could have that based upon this mistake.
Okay.
And Richie's here if you have any
Okay.
questions.
And we're still, he's going to comply with the doorway, that's going to be only 4.
He's unhappy about that, but he's going to comply, and he's unhappy about the window, but he's going to comply.
And he's going to comply with the 2
Yes.
feet as far as he's going to bring fill in.
Yes.
Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay.
Very unhappy, but you ask me,
Good, okay,
but he's going to comply.
okay. Planning?
No further comments?
Gentlemen?
Thank you, Kelly.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on this application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved.
Second.
Readily moved and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Motion carried. Come on up. I'll read it. Next case is case 1-16482, re-advertised Diane and Gerald Locido, 68 Joseph Place, Nesconset. Location west of Joseph Place, north of Town Line Road. What's happened, honey?
By the planning department? Yes. Okay,
Okay, right.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, we did that last meeting.
Okay.
Okay?
Thank you.
All right. Yeah, we made the mistake. Okay. Huh? Cute as anything. Right? Look. Okay, I better read this. Property zone R10. Request variance to reduce the minimum front yard on tree-top path from 25 feet to 2 feet for an existing 96 square foot shed. Reduce the minimum accessory structure setback from any lot line from 6 feet to 0. Okay. Let me have your name.
My name is Diane Lucido.
And your address.
And 68 Joseph Place, Nesconset, New York.
Okay. Raise your right hand. You swear to tell the whole truth and nothing but the truth?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Just tell us again.
Okay. Today is, of course, we had to re-advertise because the footage was done incorrectly from the last time we were here at our other meeting. We have a shed that's 96 square feet, and it's in the corner of our property, and we don't feel that it is any kind of impact on the environment. It's not obstructing anybody's properties, and it was enlarged. It was originally on the original deed, but we did enlarge it on our own, so it is our own, of our own doing. Okay, and we'd appreciate taking into consideration.
I was there yesterday, and I have to say that because of the subdivision that was done, then it turned your property into 2 front yards.
I know, and we didn't know that. Well, we didn't realize we had 2 front yards. We knew we had a front yard where the home was and 2 back lots, but we didn't realize that tree-top path was even a front yard.
Right. Well, that's what happened. What happened was when the subdivision deck became a front yard, and that's why your shed needed to be coming for
Right.
variance.
Exactly.
And I traveled around, and really you cannot see that shed at all.
Right.
So I'm
It's
putting that on the record.
behind the fence, and it is not an eyesore. It's, you know, it's really not, from the street, it's not an eyesore, and I don't think it would, you know, matter, you know, to take any kind of problems for anybody to get into the yard and get into the shed.
Planning?
No further comments?
Gentlemen? Okay. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Have a good evening.
Thank you. Is there anyone here that would like to be heard on that application? Hearing none, I'll entertain a motion to close the hearing.
So moved. Second.
All in favor? Thank you.
Aye.
Okay. Next application, where are they? Bobby Burger Palace?
Madam Chairman, I would just like you to know that there is no PAR on this.
On Bobby Burger Palace?
Correct.
But that's, yeah, but that's,
I just wanted to let you know that.
yeah, but that's, where are they though? Do you know?
Don't know.
Oh.
They didn't call me.
They're at Bobby's.
They're at Bobby's. All right. All right. That concludes our hearings for tonight. Thank you so very much.